And welcome, fellow retro gamers. It is the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 56. Whew, getting up there in numbers. I'm your host, JD, joined by Joey and Colin today. How you guys doing?
Hello.
Doing all right.
It's been a crazy couple weeks since we last spoke. I've been doing a lot. I've been sick. I'm healthy now. Thankfully. Went to a wrestling event in Baltimore. Drove like 14 and a half hours in total drive time. Slept in my car last night. I'm exhausted. I was very dedicated to going to this thing.
That
How you
sounds
guys
terrible. Why did you sleep in your car?
been? For the adventure.
That sounds
Risky
terrible.
move.
Did you sleep in your car in Baltimore, or did you at least drive to safety?
So this was really cool.
Okay.
So besides me sobering up and getting functional to drive, and barely making it back to the parking garage at midnight to get my parking validated so I wouldn't be charged like triple, there's a rest stop just outside Baltimore I kind of looked up and found where this is really cool. So there's like, they usually do it for truckers that don't have like the big cabin set up in the back. So what they do is they hook your car up to a battery, or hook your car battery up. You know, think of like an electric car setup, but since your car's not an electric car, they keep your battery going by plugging that in, essentially. Like, they keep it charged, and then they hook like a hose type apparatus to your car exhaust and like divert it away from your car, so you can just keep your car running and keep the heat running and just sleep in it.
Oh, nice.
And there's
Interesting.
security and plenty of like lights and everything around, so it's like as safe as it could be. I kept a bat in my car just in case anyways.
That sounds like an awesome setup.
Yeah, so I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna stay there for free. I got my I got like a little mattress set up in like, I just put my back seat down. I'm only 5'7", so I fit back there no problem. And I actually slept fairly well, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But I just couldn't really stretch my legs out all the way, so I was like cramping up and stuff. Being drunk all night, I was like, shit. That was really more of my problem than the whole car situation. I drove back. I went to AEW Full Gear. That's where I went.
I don't think I could ever sleep in my car. That's way too uncomfortable.
Well,
I've tried napping in my car. Doesn't usually work.
Yeah.
you know me, Joey. I can like sleep anywhere. So.
Yeah, you're also a lot smaller than me, so it'd be... I don't think I could fit in my car to sleep.
No, probably not. You're a taller fellow.
Yeah.
How tall?
About 6'2".
Ha! I'm 6'3".
Oh, look at you. Knowing your exact height.
Canadians taller, I hear.
Yeah, more like Dutchy. That's my background.
Yeah, well, the Dutch breed a bigger type of peoples. So
That they do.
we got sports games to talk about later today. That's Joey's theme pick today. Nice and simple.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for the simplistic theme. We can get in and out of here.
Hey, they're fun games.
You know, I won't deny, I had a shit ton of fun playing all four of these games that we're going to talk
And
about.
since they're retro, they're not the yearly based ones. That's when they start getting boring.
You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right on that. And then our little topic is a little controversy with some of a lot of websites are putting out top games of the decade. Polygon put out like their top 100. It was quite baffling for a lot of it. IGN put out theirs that was also baffling, and then a bunch of other websites put theirs out, and they weren't as bad as my opinion would state. But there were some notable games just bafflingly left off, even like a top 50 list. So, but we'll get there when we get to the topic. I want to know what everyone's been playing besides me going to the wrestling show and witnessing wrestlers get beer thrown at them and people literally fighting in the audience. That was quite I haven't seen that since the late 90s. It was a fun time.
All right, I'll go first. Had quite a bit happening on my end. Work's been a little crazy lately, but hey, haven't had that much time to play games outside of podcast games, and even those I didn't have that much time for. But I, speaking of going places, I went to Youmacon in Detroit last week.
That's a 4.5-hour drive.
Yep, I went there straight from work on the Thursday, and then I got Friday off. I'd been planning to meet with a friend of mine from Windsor who was part of my tour group when I went to Japan earlier this year.
You didn't hit Josh up? He's from that gambling town above Detroit.
I didn't think to.
Well, wasted opportunity. Haven't heard from that guy since he valiantly came back to the cast for Final Fantasy. He's been ghosting us boys.
Well, in any case, I got there. I went the Friday, and my friend told me he wouldn't be able to do anything but the Saturday and half the Sunday. So I was like, okay, just went there, screwed around, and then the next day, I'm not hearing anything from him. It's like I only have his messenger, no cell phone number. So I'm just the whole day trying to get a hold of him.
Gotta be a smoother talker. Get that number, man.
But yeah, the whole day, no response whatsoever. So that left me feeling pretty frustrated, and that kind of soured the experience all day. And then the following day, he tells me there were some extenuating circumstances on his end that kept him from getting from his phone. I found out later his brother had broken his elbow, so he was at the hospital all day. But yeah, we were able to meet for a beer on the Sunday night after the con, and it's just nice to be able to reconnect like that. And the con experience wasn't too bad. I mean, I managed to get some photos of some cool cosplays, and there were some really cool AMV screenings. And I even went to an 18-plus panel involving various inappropriate games in order to win sex toys as prizes. One of the games involved racing vibrators across tables.
What?
That sounds absolutely wonderful, and how do I get a part of this?
I just go to Detroit around Halloween. And DC Douglas, the voice of Albert Wesker, actually showed up at one point. Hilarity ensued, naturally.
Well, Colin, I have to ask the question now.
What's that?
Which vibrator did you choose and why? And you must describe it in the utmost detail.
Well, I wasn't playing. There could only be 6 people at a time out of like the few dozen in the room. But unfortunately,
You didn't participate in the dildo race?
I tried. I raised my hand, but I didn't get selected.
If you were selected, which one would you have chosen and why?
They were all the same. They're all like they're all chrome colored. You had to take them out of the box, stick the batteries in them, and then turn them on, and then tilt the table as it vibrated on it. You could only tilt it side to side, not like forward or backward.
See, this seems like a missed opportunity for me. And the con itself. I mean, with all the different types of vibrators and dildos that have battery power out there, this could have been a pretty awesome stock car type race. Am I wrong? Am I wrong in thinking this? Like, man, do I go for the big black one with the veins, or do I go with the pink turbo? You know, it's got that extra power, on the back end. So,
what have I started?
This is serious conversation, boys.
Or do you go with the high end one, like the rabbit, where you got the extra things? Or is that going to weigh it down? Do you get the ones that spin all funky, like, Do they go forward or do you go backwards? If it's a floppy one, do you put the floppy side in the back so it can just blop 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 your way down there? Or
oh no.
I think I would have just chosen the nice smooth, like long one with the higher end power, just because when you tip the table, the vibration will just overpower any sort of downward motion and just supercharges it. It's got to be the way, right?
That could be the way of going, yeah.
And aerodynamics, of course. Goes right where you need it to go. As fast as-
Well, in any case, I might not have gotten to participate, but when everybody was waiting in line, the panelists were actually handing out little bags containing lubricants and condoms.
Oh, that's the other question. Are you allowed to lubricate your vibrating dildo for the race? Or is that considered against the rules, the cheating? Is it like the equivalent of juicing?
I think that would be against the rules. Plus, they don't come with the lubricant. You'd have to put it on yourself, and meanwhile, the other racers would be dead ahead.
Come with the lubricant, you say?
Nope.
Okay. Maybe they're not as special as I thought they were.
Too bad for you. Yeah. Well, all inappropriate talk aside, I got some...
Inappropriate? This is serious, Colin.
Well, I managed to get some pretty cool stuff from the dealer room. I found a box set of Macross Plus.
Ah.
And as you saw, I sent you a picture of Gunbuster box set selling for $260, whereas you got it for $40 at Colossal Con a couple years ago.
I sure did. I knew exactly what I was getting into.
Lucky bastard. Or am I just the dumbass for not getting one myself? There was more than one.
The opportunity did arise, and you did not use your better judgment to hop on that opportunity, unlike me, because I am so smart and awesome. And humble, too, I might add. The most humble, sometimes.
I don't know about that. I think I'm way more humble than you.
You know, Joey, you are older and wiser than me.
I am the oldest and wisest. Wait, what?
1 more year wiser. By the way, happy belated birthday. I think I texted you like the day after. I'm like, Joey, I think it was your birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good. Most of the time, I don't even know the date, so.
Well, I also managed to get Blu-ray of the My Hero Academia movie and a Blu-ray of 5 centimeters per second. So I'm curious about that one.
I didn't know there was a Hero Academia movie.
Now you know.
Now I know. Now I got something more to watch.
And as I also showed to you, JD, I finally snagged a physical DS copy of Dragon Quest V.
Oh, I love that game. It's top ever RPGs for sure.
Yep. As soon as I'm done.
Joey, you weren't part of the podcast yet, obviously, but we played this game for the podcast. Like, man, must have been at the inception of this cast 2 years ago, and I just absolutely fell in love with this game. It's unbelievable the amount of customization. There's like a Pokemon type catching element to it before Pokemon even existed.
Interesting.
The story is quite gripping and meaningful. It's just one of my favorite RPGs ever. Now it's
interesting.
Great.
Well, as soon as I'm done with Final Fantasy IX and Death Stranding, I'll get right on it.
How did you get Death Stranding, by the way?
Yes, I did. I've played like 6 hours of it since yesterday.
Okay, so let's only talk about the first couple hours, because that's how long I've played.
Yes, the first couple of hours of Norman Reedus and his funky fetus, as Kevin so eloquently put it.
Joey, you had a question?
How is that? Like, is it up to the hype? Is it just a beautiful game and everything else is just okay?
Well, it's very...
Oh, man.
It's very cutscene heavy, for sure.
Which I don't think I would like.
Well, I mean, that's Kojima. He's always had that long dialogue, cutscene, heavy element to his games. I mean, we played Snatcher for the podcast, and that's a whole game of just essentially dialogue and going through it. So it's not... I'm not saying it wasn't expected to be cutscene heavy, right? With the way he tells his stories in the video games. So, but he's never made a quote-unquote bad game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing's ever broken. It's just you as a player. Does this appeal to you? And do you have? I mean, I've seen the reviews for the game describe it as, is this quote-unquote fun to play? And a lot of it's very divisive. in how you want to look at it, because it's a very artistic game, right?
Yeah.
And we'll get into the artistic talk just a tad when we get to the games of the decade, because that's what a lot of lists entailed. So, but I'm not looking at this game from like an artistic perspective. So, Colin, your first couple hours with Death Stranding, what'd you think besides the cutscenes?
I liked it. I mean, it was a lot of walking, a lot of hiking through mountains and such. I mean, the way it's executed, I found surprisingly gripping. I mean, the hiking itself feels really true to life, because I've been backpacking before with heavy loads on my back. And
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, me just being a geologist, having to do a lot of that myself, and going across terrains and having to figure out kind of what's the best trek across a map. Like, you really have to kind of plan it out so you don't get lost, or you're taking heavy loads across certain areas. Is it smart to go across this ravine this way? That kind of, so that it has a lot to do with my own personal experiences, why I found that travel element just quite relaxing and kind of thought processing.
Yeah, and plus it really recreates like having to keep your balance with such a big load on your back.
So that was very interesting to me. So I was watching another stream, and a guy was just like getting super annoyed and pissed off because he just wanted to run, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a body on your back and the body sways, what you have to do, Joey, is the triggers, left and right trigger, you just press it and it balances the load. Or you hold both triggers and you just maintain your balance, but you just can't go as fast.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's irritating you, you can just hold it down, and you don't have to worry about that. But if you're trying to escape from an enemy of some kind, whether it's these ghostly figures from like another dimension, kinda, that's what it hints at. You got to go fast, and that's when you really kind of got to practice this whole balancing technique. It's it's definitely interesting. Just from like, do I find the gameplay fun? I wouldn't call it necessarily fun, but I'm thought proactive during my whole play, because I find myself thinking about the story, why I'm carrying what I am, what's going to be the positive and negative to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So one of your first missions, like true missions in the game, is to take your mother and burn her in a specific furnace out of the city. So what happens is when a person dies, they go what they call what was the word, necro?
Yeah, necrotic. Basically basically when the body starts to rot.
Fatality.
Yeah, alright, so we're back. Little technical difficulties. Actually on my end, where my recording just really bugged out and just couldn't get my voice anymore.
I got bored of talking about Death Stranding. I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, I guess even the audio recording got bored of Death Stranding. So we're just gonna have to, I guess, sum up the last kind of 5 minutes of what we were talking about. The last thing we mentioned was last thing I mentioned before my audio bugged out was the mother, was needed to be burned, and in the world they turn necro, and that's a connection to the other side, and that creates an explosion of sorts that kind of kills everybody.
Yeah, just giant crater.
Yeah.
It's called a void out.
Yeah. Just to summarize, I guess. Got Joey. I told Joey here that since he's like a CS:GO player and he's very highly interactive with his games, this wouldn't be for him. And you agreed with pretty much that sentiment.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I was saying, I wonder what Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation is going to say about it, because he liked Elite Dangerous for how relaxing he found it. And then you were talking about No Man's Sky, how relaxing you found it, despite its faults.
Yeah, and my whole geology background is with how much you interact with the map, its description. The menus are very cumbersome. We didn't like that. So. Yeah,
menus are super complicated. Throws a lot of information at you. Takes a lot of getting used to.
Well, all right then. Joey, what have you been playing any games the last couple weeks besides podcast games?
Yeah, I played some Minecraft, although I put that on hold because the emulator EverQuest server I play on was doing their Halloween event, and they're doing double loot weekend, so I got back up in that and decided, since I deleted one of my or actually upgraded the wrong piece for my warrior, I had to start over for that one. Might as well gear up 3 other characters. So I spent a lot of time back farming a lot of things and spending a lot of time leveling up and getting gear, and it was lots of fun. So back in the old EverQuest grind.
It's a matter of time, right?
Yep. So, keeping it 1999 around here. Yeah, that's all I've been doing.
Well, I mean, I got the Medieval remake. I beat Luigi's Mansion 3 already. That was super fun. One of the more enjoyable experiences of the year, I must say.
Yeah, I actually kind of got back into Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon recently.
See, Kevin and I were talking about that just between the two of us. I've never actually played Dark Moon at all, and from the way he was describing it, where like each area is its own level, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what Luigi's Mansion 3 is. It's the best elements of both those games now put together, which, when you make a true sequel to the sequel, the threequel, if you will, that's the whole idea. Take the best elements of the previous 2 games and make your third one, make your kind of trilogy.
Yeah,
right?
We actually covered Luigi's Mansion on our launch titles cast, episode 51.
We all enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
It's very appropriate with the third game coming out. So
all 2 of us.
All 2 of us. That's right. Yeah, it wasn't just the 2 of us.
Yeah, Kevin had to bail.
Just like today, that loser. A 3DO hater.
Yeah, really. That
really
D-pad, that joystick, that knob.
All right. Well, let's just keep this cast going. Let me play a drop here. And man, we missed some good Death Stranding talk, but yeah, I guess maybe we were rambling on anyways. So I'll play this drop and we can move on.
All right. Mega Man stage select.
Not in your life. It was Crash Bandicoot.
Which one?
Whoa.
The first one. The overworld one. That music. So, all right. So Polygon released a top 100 games of the last decade list. Okay. And it really got me thinking, and I looked up other lists too. And it got me thinking, what were the best games of the past decade, or at least what our favorites were, right? And I'm gonna say this right away. Polygon's been known to be very, let's call it, biased on the artistic game side.
Yeah.
With the walking simulators and the puzzle games. If they're anything. If anything requires like some sort of philosophical thought, it's like a 10 out of 10 with them. So, but you know what to expect with that. But then as I went through like the IGN and a few other sites that were doing, top games of the last decade, whether it was top 50 or top 100, there was 2 games that weren't on like, whoa.
Bad doggy.
Sorry, you're making just
any of these lists. And one of them was Mario Odyssey, which was very strange because that made a lot of people's like game of the year in 2017, or at least top 3.
Oh yeah.
Right? and Grand Theft Auto 5 wasn't on any of these lists.
Huh.
I saw it on one of the lists. I don't know which site, but one of them had Grand Theft Auto 5 in the top 10.
Which, if you're making an unbiased kind of these are the best games of the decade list, I think those two games need, especially GTA 5 with how much it's impacted the industry, that should be top 10. Especially if you're putting like Minecraft and Rocket League and Overwatch on there. If you are putting those games on your top lists, then GTA 5, can't be omitted. Am I wrong?
No, I agree. I mean, I've honestly never played GTA 5. I have it downloaded just for some of the mods, but I mean, a lot of people love it. A lot of people really played it, so I think it should be up there.
Yeah, I mean, I love the game. It got me back into Grand Theft Auto 5. How do I put it? I still like Vice City and 3 more just because they're not as super realistic kind of deal that it's going on. Everything's getting very simulation heavy. How much to real life can we get these things?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I guess it makes sense. So I asked, Joe, I asked you, like, what are, I mean, you played CSGO. That's probably your top game of the decade.
Yeah, I mean, I have a quick list here. Nothing really put too much thought into it because I don't really like top games of decade list. But, I mean...
It's fine. Just what do you got?
Counter-Strike Global Offensive, number 1, of course.
Of course.
Number 2, I have Binding of Isaac.
Oh, yeah.
And that one had multiple releases too, which is what I like about some of the games that, you have your main game and then you have all your, like, DLCs and whatnot. This game had a lot that came out. So I spent a lot of time on that one. I know a bunch of people who played it. I like Portal 2. That one, it's like an instant classic.
Oh, yeah.
Witcher 3, I liked. Although I did prefer the card game inside of it more than the actual game most times. But
Gwent?
Yeah, I do like Gwent, but I really liked that game and it was a lot of fun. I liked the story and all of that. Another one, Payday 2, which I'm guessing is not going to be high on like anyone's list, but I had so much fun in that game.
Yeah. No, that I didn't really see Payday 2 on any list. It's definitely not on mine.
Yeah, so
I never played it.
It's a lot of fun, especially if it's more fun with friends. I mean, you just go from one heist to another, and each thing's different. Some of them you have to be stealthy, some of them you just armor up and go through and just start taking things down. So it's just a fun, mindless game.
Which you can do in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, you can, but
that whole element to it, yeah.
I just never played the actual game. I only played some of the role-playing mods.
Sure.
Then I have Infamous 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're a big Infamous fan.
I am a huge Infamous fan. If they actually continued the series, I would have bought, I think, the PS3 when it first came out but they had, what was it? Or was it PS4? Whatever had the Second Son. But that was just
it was PS4. That was like a launch title, yeah.
That was a sham of an Infamous game, though.
Yeah, they went with a totally different direction, and there was a DLC type of that game as well. It definitely wasn't the comic book-esque element.
If they would have done
a
true third game of the series, I would have bought the PS4 just for that game.
Wow.
I really like that series. Another series that I have on there is Middle Earth, but I like Shadow of War better than Shadow of Mordor. I think that game has a lot of interesting things that's add to it. Like if you die to a boss, he levels up and like he starts making fun of you. The more times you lose to him, he gets higher levels and he becomes like your nemesis, and it's just a lot of fun with some of the aspects and the extra things they've added to the game. So I really liked that series. And then just like GTA 5, I have Saints Row 4. Which is
Saints Row series. There's some love.
There's that was a lot of fun. It was interesting. Similar to GTA 5, but you get more territories and whatnot instead of just doing missions. Then actually probably the most artsy game I have is Nier Automata.
Oh yeah.
Nier Automata. Yeah. That was one of my top games of 2017. Yeah.
I still haven't finished it because I'm going through the second playthrough, which I'm not enjoying as much. I don't like the hacking, but I'm trying to get through.
Nobody likes it, Joey.
I'm trying to get through it just to get to that third playthrough. And then number 10, I do have Minecraft because I think Minecraft was huge, and I think it was genre defining, and it just spewed a lot of things similar to it. It was super basic, but a lot of fun, and a lot of people loved it, and I think it deserves to be a top 10 game.
Well, you know what Minecraft is, and I was thinking about this, because it's not it's not my game. It's not my type of game. I don't know why, because I have an engineering degree, I have geology, I love Legos, and then when I said the Legos to myself, I went, that's what it is. It is this generation's Legos, right?
Yeah.
Just in virtual reality as opposed to the actual building blocks that I played with as a kid.
Yeah, and it's also a game that you have to enjoy not really having an objective. You have to create your own objectives. I mean, there is the Ender Dragon, but that came after I stopped, and even when I play now, I'm not even caring enough to do that. But, I mean, I make my own objectives. I'm like, I'm going to go set out and do this. And then it's fun to do small little things and have fun with friends, just screw around. So I really enjoy the game, but I can see that. I mean, that's like you not liking this and me not liking Death Stranding. It's just different player types with different types of games.
Absolutely, but I think with a game like Minecraft, we're going to see the fruits of what that game has done to an entire generation of kids like 10, 15 years from now when they're all going through... well, I guess the game... Minecraft came out in 2011, so over the next few years and then over the next 10 years, we're going to see how much this game impacted people.
What's even crazy, though, they're still releasing stuff, because I forget what company bought it out. They're releasing another patch coming up, which... They're changing some of the story, and they're adding stuff to like the nether world and all that. So the game is still growing, which is insane to me. They still have teams working on it. They're still enveloping the story, which there's actually is a Minecraft story if you care enough to find it. So
sure.
But I think also about this game is that it was easily modded, so it brought a lot of new people into modding, brought a lot of new people into interest in that. So I think it might have even spawned a lot of game developers in itself, just from having access to modding and the accessibility that this game was.
Yeah. Let me just go through Kevin's list real quick, and then Colin, you can say yours.
All right.
Getting a list out of Kevin was like a task in itself. But he's got Persona 5, Uncharted 3 or 4. I don't know. He just wrote Uncharted, which did not come out in this last decade, so it's 3 or 4. Killzone 3, Batman Arkham City, Darksiders.
Ooh, I like Darksiders 2 more, though.
Yeah, I think 2 is the better game. Link Between Worlds, Wolfenstein New Order, Mega Man 11, God of War Valhalla, the new one, and Witcher 3. So, some questionable ones on there, to say the least. But not so questionable ones, like Witcher 3 is the big one.
For sure.
All right, Colin, what do you got?
Yeah.
And how did you come up with your list?
Well, I'll go from number 10 to number 1. Number 10 was Resistance 3, just because I love the weapon selection. I love how fast and frantic it is. Number 9...
It's like Kevin's Killzone 3.
Yeah, but this is more fun because Insomniac has an insane level of creativity with its weapons. And then number 9, XCOM Enemy Unknown. I had a lot of fun with that when it came out. It's like easily one of the best turn-based strategy games I've ever played.
XCOM. What year was that?
I think it was like 2010, 2012, or was it 2013?
I'm looking it up. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. XCOM Enemy Unknown. I can see why.
2012.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
That was a weak year, too.
Well, in any case, number 8, BioShock Infinite, for similar reasons to Resistance 3. Just fast, frenetic action, but also a really good story to go with it. Number 7, Celeste. I've sung Celeste's praises numerous times in the past.
Absolutely.
On this
Joey,
cast.
remember when we played BioShock Infinite together?
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I just didn't think it was as great as everyone claims it to be.
Yeah, we both kind of had that same thought process. We're like, yeah, we played it.
I prefer the first one over that one.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Well, I love
Anyways. Sorry, Colin, go on. We're just chiming in thoughts when you say something.
Yeah, number 6, Witcher 3.
Good game.
It's just a very solidly developed game. The only reason I haven't played more of it is because it's very depressing.
That's true. But the show's coming out, I think, next month. on Netflix.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Oh, wow. Already?
And it's supposed to be similar to Witcher 3, but it's also supposed to be coming from the books. I'm not sure if it's going to follow exactly.
Yeah. Well, in any case, Henry Cavill is playing Geralt.
Yeah, and he looks amazing.
Ooh.
You should watch the trailer.
For those who don't know, Henry Cavill is the guy who plays Superman in the new movies, like Man of Steel and onward.
Apparently he was trying to push for this role for a while. He was just, when are we doing this? When are we doing this? So he's been wanting to do this because he's a huge fan of the games.
Yeah. Well, in any case, number 5, Batman Arkham City. It was a bit of a toss-up between it and Arkham Knight, but Arkham City, I guess, ultimately I decided on, because I think it had a more solid story. It just felt more tightly written, everything just fit together better than Arkham Knight.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And then number 4, Ghost Trick, which is a bit of a lesser-known DS title. It's made by the same people who made the Ace Attorney series, but its gameplay is a lot different because you're using, well, the whole story is you're a ghost of a guy who doesn't remember how he died and is trying to figure out what the hell happened, and along the way befriends many quirky characters and just builds to a really good ending. And the gameplay itself is pretty good because you're like manipulating different objects to a certain degree to like prevent people from dying. It's just a really good game. I highly recommend it. And then number 3, Doom 2016, for the same reasons as BioShock Infinite and Resistance 3. But it executes its fast, frenetic action the best, in my opinion.
See a theme with your picks.
I still haven't played that. I really need to play it.
You would like it, Joey. It's right up your alley.
It's amazing. And the soundtrack is freaking awesome. It's like Mick Gordon did an amazing job with it. And then number 2 was Portal 2. Just really good. It was, I don't know what really to say about it. It's just got really good gameplay, great graphics, great humor. That's the strongest point of the game.
It's a puzzle game with an intriguing story, phenomenal writing, and it really gets you to think in a way you've probably never have before.
And the multiplayer is really interesting as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh. And number 1 is To the Moon, which a very highly personal pick to me, but I love it so much. It just really got me to feel things to a certain degree that most other games have not. It's just, its story is really amazing. It's just, I mean, JD, you would disagree with me. You've disagreed with me on this in the past. We've chatted about it. But,
sure have, yes.
But for me personally, it was the perfect ending. It was the perfect blend of bittersweet and just it felt amazing. I just really like this game so much. Plus all the nerd references it throws in there.
Right.
I don't think I've even heard of this game.
Yeah, most haven't, but if you like games with good story, I recommend checking it out.
So, while I was at work and I had some downtime, I just kind of went through the years of the releases from 2010 to now. And I just wrote down like what I thought was the most impactful game of each year. And I came out to like 46 games, right? And what we haven't mentioned is Mass Effect 2. These are the games that are just on the list that I think a lot of lists just have to have them on there. Red Dead Redemption, Amnesia Dark Descent with its impact on just the horror genre, what it did.
You see, a lot of these games I just never played, so I never play the top games. It's just not what I do.
Yeah, and what was just stupidly popular at the time, like Skyrim, Minecraft we mentioned, Portal 2 you guys have mentioned, Borderlands 2.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot. I played a lot in that game. That game was
insanely popular during college.
I even played it like a couple of years ago. Like I love that game. That probably should be in my top 10. It's just so hard for a decade because I can't even think of what games came out what year.
Well, that's why I just looked at like video game releases from each year, and then I just wrote them down. I was like, "Fuck, that was that long ago," or "Man, that wasn't that long ago," kind of situation.
Even a thing I really like prequel sequel for Borderlands. I thought that was a lot of fun, even though a lot of people didn't like it. That game was a lot of fun to me.
Well, Jay, who was just on the last episode, he just played the pre-sequel, and quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, that one I liked the story. I liked Claptrap. I just really like that game.
Yeah. What else we got here? Super Mario Maker Rocket League in 2015. Overwatch was 2016.
I will say one thing about Rocket League that did well is cross-platform play that you can play with everyone. Not too many games are doing it around that time. They're like, nope,
No,
you guys are all playing together.
First, yeah. So, one thing I noticed was 2012 and 2014 were just bad years in gaming for like critically acclaimed games that sold incredibly well. I know Call of Duty exists, and so it's like FIFA every year. That's all well and good, but for like the big single player experiences that stood out, just 2012 and 2014 was just nothing, right? So I found that interesting. 2011 was just a host of a list, and obviously 2017, just a couple years ago, was just crazy with the amount of top-end critically acclaimed games that came out. I mean, when you're talking Zelda, Nier Automata, Mario Odyssey, Resident Evil 7, Horizon Zero Dawn, all in the same year, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was really crazy.
Yeah. But my list, I just kind of thought, like, what games kind of just impacted me the most each year, what got me to be engaged the most. And number 10, I put Mario Odyssey. Just from a platformer perspective, I love my platformers, and I think that was the best platformer of the last decade. I really thought Rayman Origins was going to take that away, but then Odyssey came out, so... where's my number 9? Metal Gear Solid 5, with having kind of a SOCOM Ghost Recon element to it, but making every mission seem like a puzzle in an action format. I've never played anything like that before. It seemed like it was always a vision that had that idea behind it, but the technology wasn't there to execute. So, like, take Red Dead Redemption, and each time you go to a town and you have to clear it out, there's a specific order of things you have to avoid to go through it all, rather than just it's a shooting gallery. You know what I mean? So, Metal Gear Solid 5, just it really blew me away. Number 8 is Dark Souls, with that whole action RPG. It's just crazy. It defined a whole genre on its own.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kevin's not a fan of it, but it also created a difficulty in the modern era that gave you that retro feel of Death Matters.
See, I don't know.
Oh,
It just
yeah.
felt like it was difficult just to be difficult.
I mean, I got that in Sekiro for sure. The difference between Dark Souls and Bloodborne is you can just farm and get stronger if you're not quote unquote good enough to take on a certain level, right? Because Colin, I mean, you experienced Dark Souls 3 with me. You were a much better player, and once I just took an extra, say, 15, 20 minutes and farmed and got up a couple levels of what I was lacking in skill, then the game became beatable, right?
Mm-hmm.
7, I have Horizon Zero Dawn. I've spoken about that game at length. 6, where am I at? Undertale.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big cult. It just blew up in the video game world, just seemingly out of nowhere. It's 2015, and when I put this list together and I started like marking all these out, 2015 seemed to be the best year for my particular taste in games. 5, God of War Valhalla. It's this whole storytelling element. It was like this decade's Uncharted 2 with me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 4 is Celeste, and then 3 is Shovel Knight. So I have them kind of interchangeable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 2 is The Witcher 3.
Nice.
I think just it's grandiose and storytelling and gameplay. It is a once in a generation game. So The Witcher 3 was the only game on all of our lists. So I think we've come to a consensus that is the best game of the decade between all of us.
Like, I can't think of one thing I didn't like about the game.
Exactly. Like everyone recognized how great that game is and what it's done. So
yeah.
And then much like your pick, Colin, with To the Moon, my number 1 is Hellblade.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Just from this does and represents kind of everything I like in gaming. You know, it's not from a major company. It doesn't have the best gameplay, right? It doesn't have that big budget behind it. But what they were able to pull off with their limited resources and what it made me feel and go through as I was playing it was unlike any experience I had over the last decade. You know, just from using sound in a way I've never experienced before. I'm not the type of guy that uses headphones and you know, has to have the best graphics or has to have the best setup. But for this game in particular, I got so enthralled with the story being told, how the gameplay tied into the story in a meaningful manner, and the sound elements alone really had me questioning a lot of things. So, you know, Colin, when you put To the Moon on there, do I agree that it's the best game of the decade? No, but I understand why you put it there because of the way it impacted you, and that's what Hellblade did for me. So, and then RE7 PSVR is just spooky time. So, just a mention. So, Witcher 3 seems to be the universal game of the decade.
Sounds about right. And there's a lot of games I have wanted to play from this decade that I never got around to playing, like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. Although those are just because I don't have a Switch yet.
Well, you should just be ashamed of yourself then.
And there's also Cuphead and South Park Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole.
Yeah, I want to play
God of War 3. Xenoblade Chronicles, Yakuza 0, Persona 5, Neo, Spider-Man PS4.
Well, Neo's based on... That's the other thing. Like, when I was making out these best games lists, you know, you might be like, well, why didn't you put Red Dead Redemption 2 on your list? Well, because Red Dead Redemption came out, and the sequel just had, you know, better graphics kind of situation. So, you know, I love Neo. I love that game, but let's face it, it's going to be marked as a Dark Souls clone, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
So what game separated itself from the other games of the last 10 years or even the last 20 years, right? What made it so unique?
Yeah, that's true.
So
I also think my list is pretty much just games I played, and I don't.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, so I can't really
what you
comment
played.
on it. I know a lot of people like Red Dead 2 and all that, but I just never got around to it. I'm always like, I'll play it later, and then something else comes up, and I don't.
Nothing in 2019 has like totally blown me away with a lot of the games over the past 10 years, but you know, just from personal experience and what other people were playing and how popular everything is. If I was making a game of the most popular, then yeah, Minecraft, GTA 5, you know, they go without League of Legends, they go without saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have we spoken at length about this? Are we satisfied, boys?
I would say so.
All right, simple enough. I do want to mention Polygon's list has like Firewatch and yeah, they have like walking simulators and The Witness in like their top 10.
Yeah.
PT, a game that never even came out, was in their top 10. So that's why I was like, that's why people are like shaking their head. I'm just going, what?
Yeah, I
Excuse
saw that.
me?
I was like, what is that game? Or what's supposed to be that game?
PT was supposed to be Silent Hills, another Silent Hill game. So it was like an hour demo of what the game was going to be, and then it was canceled.
Yeah, because Konami are a bunch of assholes.
Then how come it's number 7 on their list?
Joey, you're asking the same questions.
Yeah.
We all are. Best game of the Super Nintendo, Star Fox 2. I know what you're saying. It never came out. Well, shut up. I played the repro cart of the found of the found code, and game of the system.
Oh no.
All right. I will play the drop. A drop. I'll play the Mega Man drop just for you, Colin.
Yay. I should quickly point out, I just realized my Audacity has been recording from my built-in microphone on my laptop and not my blue snowball.
So, that is okay, because I have backup audio.
Okay. I mean, I just exported the previous audio from our botched first recording, and it sounds okay, just a little muffled, but if you have...
Okay.
You can decide once you get the recordings.
I suppose I will have to.
And
what a great episode for audio issues.
Yeah, my Audacity's not letting me switch over to my blue snowball, so...
Well, as Kevin said, what are the odds Colin will have audio problems 100% of the time? It's going to happen.
Oh, boy.
Hey, well, at least sports games aren't known for their great audio, so...
Wow, I beg to differ.
These early ones aren't. You got
Just
a lot of
audio issues.
I still beg to differ.
Whatever, then. We'll agree to disagree.
All right, so Joey, it was your theme pick. How did you come to sports games? Why did you pick it?
Mainly just because of NHL 94. I just wanted to have a theme where I could put that in there. And, I mean, that was one of the first games I can think of playing when I was younger, right after getting the Super Nintendo. So to me, that's like what retro games are, the feeling of playing this game. So that game has a lot of in my heart. So I wanted a theme around that, and I thought sports games would be fun since you guys haven't done it.
We haven't done it, and
we've done arcade sports.
We have done arcade sports, and ironically, we got kind of an arcade feel because that's what retro sports games were back then. They weren't the heavy sims that they are now.
Yeah,
They're almost too. There's too many too. It has too much realism to it, and it almost takes the fun away. But
yeah,
Joey, we have tons and tons of sports games experiences from NHL, FIFA in particular. You could even include wrestling games on there as sports in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, once the sports games started doing the yearly thing, then it just stopped being as fun. Like, I like the ones that were random, like the MLB Slugfest. Just a little twist to it. I mean, you can play classic baseball with it, but then you have the fun mode. I think more sports games should do that every once in a while, just to bring it back.
Well, I believe it was NHL 14. I could be wrong on that easily, but one of the more recent NHL annual franchises had the NHL 94 anniversary, and they actually put that in the game with like updated graphics and gameplay. So I agree. I think a lot of these big simulation games could put extra modes in there just to increase the fun, make it ridiculous. It doesn't have to be this super realistic game. You don't need to have a basketball game with fucking a goddamn casino inside it.
Yeah, I want to be on fire. I want to shoot from a hot spot that gives me 30 points. Just there's no reason why like an NBA 2K game can't put in like an NBA Jam fun mode in there.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Don't waste your resources on a fucking card game element where you want to take our money through gambling. Put some fun things in there. I agree, Joey. You're a smart guy sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Only sometimes. So tell us about NHL 94. That was your first. That was your pick of the cast.
Well, came out on the Super Nintendo, the I guess Genesis, and that's the Sega CD.
Correct.
Cool. I only played on Super Nintendo. So this one was licensed in '94, which there's a lot of debate with this in NHLPA '93, because that one was licensed by the player. This one, '94, was actually player and league, so you actually have names and teams.
Damn right you do.
One of the downsides of this one, though, is you can't fight in it. So that was introduced in '93 in the NHLPA, but they took it out in this one. But it did introduce the slap shot. So this is just a fun hockey game. I would recommend playing without... If you play with penalties, turn off offsides, because it's damn near impossible to play this game with offsides being called.
I agree with that. Yeah,
and it just
100%
ruins the play. But it's just a fun sports game. If you like hockey, it's just a lot of fun and very simple. There's not a lot of loading screen. There's not a lot of anything built around it. You just go into the game. You have the crowd sound, nothing else, and then you got your music if you score or if you're down. It's just very simple, and that's why I really like it.
So developed by for the Super Nintendo, it was EA Canada. For the Sega consoles, it was from a thing called High Score Productions. It came out October 1993. You might recognize it from its now famous blue tinted ice.
Hell yeah. Classic.
It incorporated what became the signature kind of camera angle of sports games going forward, the vertical kind of sky view, especially in hockey games and basketball games, used it as well. Gameplay introduced the one-timer and Slapshot. The one-timer is probably the more notable one, especially if you got like Mario Lemieux and those assholes on the Philadelphia Flyers.
Hell yeah, the only team I play with.
Avalanche for me, and Jaromir Jagr. But anyways, the Sega CD version actually includes a full music track, commentary voiceovers, and I didn't really get the feel for this, but they say it's improved crispness in gameplay. Supposedly, that's what they say. So, fun fact, I actually didn't get to play NHL 94 because growing up in Texas, shocking, not a hockey state.
Heresy.
Although I did have Blades of Steel for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and that was my hockey game as a child.
Yeah.
Yes. But I really, really got into NHL 94 when I moved to Canada. Go figure. Colin, I don't know if you know this, being from Canada, but hockey is kind of popular in that country.
Really? I had no idea.
I would have never guessed.
It's weird, right? Especially in Toronto, of all places. It's just very strange.
Basketball's supposed to be the one.
Yeah, I mean, they're the NBA champions. I don't understand. When was the last time a Canadian team won? I can't even remember. Was it even in our lifetime? I don't think you can prove that.
Same for our baseball.
Come on, the Expos don't even exist anymore. Get out of here. Okay. Well, just fun fact, when I moved there and people saw that I had all these retro consoles and they're like, oh, you don't have NHL 94? I was like, dude, I grew up in Texas. Like, no. They go, oh, you got to get it. It's like, all right. I went to the store. It was like $4. It was really cheap. And then as I got NHL 94, I'm at A&C Games and they go, well, we ran out, but would you be interested in NHL 94 with the updated roster, sprites, and gameplay? I'm like, what are you talking about? So every year in Canada at various retro game shops, they hack the ROM and make the new league every year into the NHL 94 game. So I have the 2016 roster and updated sprites with NHL 94. And the funny thing is, Jaromir Jagr is in that game, too.
Now, that's news to me.
Yeah. And it plays even a little bit better. You can actually... What they've done is, instead of, like, only Mario Lemieux is your Bo Jackson of NHL 94, where he just breaks the game, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Almost every team has a designated break-the-game player that you can incorporate in these ROM hacks with the updated roster. So like Patrick Kane has a wicked slap shot that's like almost unblockable if you hit it at the right time at a certain part of the ice. So does Ovechkin for the Capitals. Then you have players like Jonathan Taves of the Blackhawks, where he's just so fast you just can't take the puck away from him. So everyone has their own like Bo Jackson element to it in these ROM hacks. It's so much fun, and all that's still based off of that NHL 94 engine and gameplay, which I think speaks to the just test of time this game has lived through.
Oh yeah.
So I just got really obsessed with NHL 94 living in Canada. Go figure. I know it's crazy or weird. Why would I get obsessed with a hockey game in Canada? I don't understand these things.
We're putting the red leaf in the Retrocast again.
Bring the red leaf back. Not the blue leaf, not the maple leaf, if you will.
Boo.
Boo. You don't like the Maple Leafs, Colin? You a Red Wings fan? You heathen?
Now there's a whole wide variety. But I always cheer the Leafs on whenever I can. Yeah. Whenever they're actually playing well.
The NHL games in general were popular when I was in college in Michigan. But I guess the retro game craze hadn't hit yet during that time. I was in college. But so Joey, your team is always the Flyers. Who's your go-to guy?
Lindros, but I wasn't really remember he's in that game. But I grew up with the Legion of Doom and just that team, so that's why I love this game and just love that team. I haven't really watched too much hockey now living in Texas because I don't get to watch it too often. But I grew up with Lindros and all that. Just a lot of fun.
So, for those that are just kind of interested in game-rated players, like ratings, and why I was speaking so ridiculous of, the ROM hacks of today in Canada, where they still do that, Mario Lemieux has a rating of 100, okay? That's what makes him so ridiculous, right? He's perfect. Ray Bourque is a defenseman who has a rating of 99.
Huh.
And then it just goes really down from there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So what they've done in those ROM hacks is kind of make it more balanced, and yet every team has that kind of. There's always some rating that a player has a perfect score on, which makes it ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I never play Pittsburgh.
Which you should always want to beat them because you're a Flyers fan.
Yeah, but I don't want to play them because they're always going to beat me.
So the one thing, I have a baseball game from around this era. I can't remember the name, but I got it pretty recently when I went on a retro kind of sports interest of, what is kind of the NHL 94 of other sports franchises, right? Does football have one? Yeah, I guess that's Tecmo Football, right? Like no other game's been like that since. But I was like, man, what's the baseball one? So I'm like looking it up, and I finally found a couple. One is Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, but it didn't really have kind of that addiction element to it. And then I found, as I pull up the game title, bear with me here, World Series Baseball 95. And this has, just a side tangent here, this is kind of what I wish a lot of games would incorporate, especially back in this era. Imagine if NHL 94 had a franchise mode where you can draft players onto teams, create players and stats, and do all that. That's what World Series Baseball 95 did. So, I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. So, I didn't play this growing up, but I did play NHL 96 growing up a lot on our PC. It's like, both me and my brother used to play it. The only problem is, and me and my brother didn't know this for the longest time, we have to turn off autoplay in order to, play the game.
Oh, that's silly. You're talking crazy.
Yeah, really.
Why would you want to play a video game? That's why I played Death Stranding.
Thus, every hour I thought I was playing turned out to just be the computer, and when I did have full control, I sucked ass. But as for NHL 94, I played the Genesis version.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't too bad. Controls are fairly simple, if a little sluggish, at least as far as movement is concerned, but otherwise pretty intuitive. Though I couldn't see any way of checking the opposing players. For those unaware, checking is hockey lingo for hitting players into the boards with your shoulders, similar to tackling in football.
So, just a fun tidbit here. If you mash the, I think it's the B button, it kind of functions as a check, right?
Yeah?
Yeah, but also functions as a turbo.
Also, yes. With the 6-button pad in the ROM hacks with the updated rosters, you hit, I think it's Z, and there's an actual sprite check that you can do in the game now.
Huh, neat.
That I have with the 2016 roster. It's so much fun. Joey, we'd have to play this ROM hack next time we see each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very interested.
It's wild.
I played as the Toronto Maple Leafs when I played against the Ottawa Senators, although maybe I should have played the Montreal Canadiens or the Quebec Nordiques. I won, by the way. 3-0 shutout.
I would have said the Avalanche, but they didn't exist yet, so... Neither did the Dallas Stars, I think. Or did the Minnesota North Stars move yet? Oh, shit.
I don't think remember. That might have been right around the time they moved.
Should probably...
Let's see. Dallas Stars...
Unfortunately, no Hockey Night in Canada theme playing in this game.
Yeah, Dallas Stars existed.
When did they move?
Yeah. They moved... When? I don't know.
93.
Ah, the year before. There you go.
Yeah,
Answers that.
They were Minnesota North Stars from 67 to 93.
Yep. Needless to say, the game is incredibly addicting. It's one of the best sports games, I think, of all time. I think that kind of goes without saying. How did everyone feel about the fighting not being in the game? Did that detract from anything at all?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think this game works without it. I mean, it might have added to it. But to be fair, the penalties, they don't scale with the time that you set your periods to. So a 2-minute penalty in a 5-minute period is just killer.
It's devastating.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
I mean, if I could just go up and fight Mario Lemieux and get him in the box for 5 minutes, awesome. You can't do that though.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I give this one a pass.
Easy pass.
Oh yeah, definitely a pass.
All right.
So Kevin's not here, but his pick, as my computer freaks out for a second, I don't like that. I'm gonna check
your
everything's
recording.
Still working. Woo. Everything's still working. We're good.
Oh, good.
Kevin's pick was Major League Baseball Slugfest 2003. Came out on the PS2, GameCube, Xbox. Goes for about $5. Developer and published by Midway. Released August 26, 2002. This is the baseball version of NBA Jam or NFL Blitz. Made by the same company. Why it took this long to come out, I don't know. It's kind of interesting in itself. Maybe it's because baseball, it can't function the same way as a game that's moving all the time. Well, there was an NHL hits as well, but that again that didn't come out until around this era as well. The game wasn't bad, but it was tough to get into for me. I just couldn't really figure out why. I do like some of the things, like you can punch the players to tag them. The use of the turbo meter is the big draw of the game. It makes your players run faster, hit harder. slide tackle into a base as you run, try to make the guy drop the ball. But you will run out of turbo, and if that ever happens, your players will, let's just say, suck, and then the computer or your opponent will run roughshod all over you. So that's the element there. Not being able to break the rules, per se, I think was kind of what this game was missing. So when I play NFL Blitz, you can tackle the dude as the ball's in midair so he doesn't catch it. So there was, I don't know how you would incorporate it into a baseball game of doing shit like that, but they clearly tried with the whole any pitch can be thrown anywhere and the batter can hit it. They kept it more arcade-like than a realistic sim. So it plays much faster and more ridiculous. Your players throw super fast from across the field all the way home plate kind of deal. The banter of the commentators was really funny with good writing. I believe I heard a reference to Abraham Lincoln being a better baseball player than other historical figures if he was around, which I thought was very funny.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the point of the stats of teams being ridiculous. So the Pirates were the worst team in the game, and the Diamondbacks were the best. I get why the ratings were given the way they were, but it makes you not want to be your favorite team, basically.
Yeah, it makes me want to just play as the Yankees, but I hate the Yankees.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was kind of a bummer to me when I want to be the Rockies, but let's face it, they're Colorado. They're not great. So it kind of it immediately puts you at a disadvantage just from picking teams, rather than, I didn't get that with NHL 94 unless you were playing the Penguins.
Yeah, the Penguins were just way too good in that game, but yeah.
Well, it's because Mario asshole Lemieux.
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect over there.
Yeah, but I mean, speaking of which, I did play the Yankees against the Rockies, and I hit 2 grand slams against them, so that was fun.
Well, as one does. That still happens to this day. What did everyone else think about Major League Baseball Slugfest 2003?
I actually liked it.
I'm going to start by saying I am not a baseball fan by any stretch. Sure, I went to a couple of Jays games here and there as a kid, but it's definitely not my favorite sport. Although I do love the movie The Sandlot. The first game I went to was back at age 6 when Joe Carter was still playing for the Jays. And he helped them win the World Series back in '93. I remember I had been at a game when Carlos Delgado hit a grand slam. The only problem was that me and my dad had left the game right before it happened because I had to be at swimming lessons. I should also point out I couldn't find a copy of this one, so I just watched videos of it.
That's okay.
It was hard to get.
I don't think. Which is
Look,
weird because it's only about $5.
It was just out of stock at all the places I went to. Yeah, like you said, JD, it reminds me a lot of NFL Blitz in that it doesn't take itself too seriously or go for hyper-realism. Instead, going for a slightly fantastical edge, kind of like SSX, now that I think about it. I mean, heck, in this game you can have the players beat the shit out of each other at the bases, similar to NFL Blitz. And the pitches you can do.
You can get a player on fire, which I thought was cool. It's just, I wish there was more elements to getting the guy on fire.
Yeah.
Rather than just, guy's been up to bat twice and he has 2 straight hits, and then he's on fire. I think if you could, get a hit and then steal a base, he could be on fire. Or if the guy makes a diving catch, he refills his turbo meter, and he's on fire for the rest of the inning kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just a lot of nitpicky things, I guess you could say, where I was like, man, missed opportunity. Especially in the PS2 era, I think that was more easier to do than, say, the first NFL Blitz on the PlayStation or the N64, where it's very much more limited.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the sense of humor this game has. I mean, aside from the commentators, there's also when you hit a foul ball into the stands, you can sometimes hear glass breaking on a small screen. That was pretty funny. And sometimes the batters will do funny motions. Like sometimes they'll dance up to the plate, hold out a hand, and catch a bat flying in from the side. Or when they strike out, they'll hit themselves in the head with the bat. Yeah, it looks like a fun time. I just wish I could have played it. How about you, Joey?
I surprisingly actually like this game a lot. I didn't think I was going to like it. I don't like that they're really good at hitting the ball out of your hand, but you can't do it to them at all. So, but I don't know. I surprisingly like this game. I'm not a big baseball fan. I'm an Astros fan. I just can't watch any other game that the Astros aren't in. So I want to call myself a baseball fan. But I actually like this game. It was a lot of fun. It took a little bit to get used to. I mean, I sucked the first couple games. I think I played one game where they scored 10 runs in the first inning against me, so it was a steep learning curve, but once I started getting the hang of it, it started to be fun.
All right. I didn't hate the game. I just think that it was missing some things to draw me completely in. I'll give it a pass with friends. I'll give it a fail alone.
I give it a pass.
I don't think I've ever done that before.
I think I'm going to give it a pass.
All right, fair enough. All right, next was my pick, and haha, I picked FIFA International Soccer. Came out on the Game Boy, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and wait for it. Dramatic pause, the 3DO.
Boo. I'm booing on behalf of Kevin.
Goes for $2 to $5 depending on what you need it on. Developed by Extended Play Productions, aka EA Vancouver. I gotta get my accent going. Published by EA themselves. Released December 15th, 1993. The game features, I of course played the superior 3DO version of FIFA International Soccer. So this was before the FIFA franchise became its annual release and trying to exploit children out of money. Slowly but surely over time. It was also before the game featured club teams. So this was international soccer, so it featured 48 countries in the game.
Ooh.
So you could go from being the powerhouses of Germany, of the Deutschland, to facing another powerhouse like Kuwait.
Ooh.
Among other nations out there. So basically any nation with a football team was in this game. They all had the actual names of players, which is pretty cool. The game featured 7 unique camera angles to choose from, at least on the 3DO version. I did not bother to look up these inferior versions of the game. Why would I do that? I hate to criticize the superior 3DO, but most of these camera angles that are incorporated to try to give you the best FIFA International Soccer experience are kind of worthless, including a ball mode, which it follows the ball in a up-close angle rather than the players that you are, so you have no idea. It is quite ridiculous to play some of these camera angles. You can play up to 6 players on the 3DO, and as you know, the 3DO does not have 2 controller ports on it. In fact, the second controller port is on the controller itself, so you would daisy chain 6 controllers together, so you can imagine what might ensue if you were playing with up to 5 other friends. However, I will say, despite its amazingly smooth gameplay and massive sprites and almost 3D polygonal figures, the best way to play this is actually inputting many cheat codes, like Crazy Ball Mode, to make this game super arcade-like. And what Crazy Ball Mode is, the ball moves randomly after you kick it.
Oh,
So
jeez.
you have no idea where it's going to go or how it's going to move. If you incorporate this with crazy curveball mode, it gets ridiculous, and you better hope your goalie is ready to become like Peter Cech out there and always making just sick-ass saves, because that gets ridiculous. There's also an invisible wall cheat code you can put in, so your player will just stop moving out of nowhere or hit something, or the ball will be kicked in the air and randomly bounce the other way.
Oh, boy.
And there's various other ones like super defense, super offense, super kick, which incorporates blasting the ball as hard as you can. Imagine every shot is a crazy slap shot in NHL 94, just all the time from across the field.
You make a drinking game out of it every time you get
this
scored
game
on.
is totally ridiculous. It can be super fun. I recommend the cheat codes highly every time. The game is a total blast that way. Just by itself, it's a solid first soccer game try. With using real countries and players kind of deal. That is my opinion over the 3DO version of FIFA International Soccer.
Was this a 3DO review or an actual FIFA International Soccer review?
I'm going to go with yes to both of those.
I played it on Super Nintendo. I actually didn't like it too much. I mean, if I had all those cheat codes, it seems like it'd be fun, but just playing the basic game, I played against Germany, and that was a bad choice.
Well, you should not ever play against Brazil either, I must add.
So
they are perfect across the board. They are the Mario Lemieux of this game.
It felt like one of those games that I'm limited to the game, but the computer is not, so they can feel like their movement is more smooth, so they're everywhere I am before I can even be there. So I didn't really have a lot of fun with this one. I mean, I liked what it became. I think I played a couple of FIFA games a couple years later, so I think it advanced, but I just didn't really like this one.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Colin. I have to assume you also played the 3DO version, of course, right?
No, if I had that kind of money. Yeah.
Are you telling me you don't have $2 to $5 to get FIFA International Soccer on the 3DO?
2 to 5 plus the couple hundred it would cost on the system itself.
I'm not hearing that part. I'm choosing to ignore my selective outrage.
Well, I should point out I'm not really much of a soccer fan either. I mean, I played in a league as a kid.
I wouldn't
be
a soccer fan either if I just witnessed Toronto FC losing the MLS Finals for another year to the Seattle Sounders. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I played in a league as a kid for a couple of years before moving on to hockey. And then every time the FIFA World Cup is on, I always root for Netherlands, which is my background. But
you don't root for Canada, Colin?
They suck.
Actually, they have a really good teenager right now, so they could be decent.
They have a really good women's national team that make the World Cup every year, every time. You root for Canada then?
I don't really pay attention to it then.
I don't believe what I'm hearing.
Well, in any case.
Although I did see Canada play, I think it was Jamaica. Joey, did we go to that game? I think we did.
Set the doubleheader.
Yeah,
it was Canada versus Jamaica, and then it was two Central American teams.
Honduras?
Yeah, it was Honduras for someone else, and that game was scary.
Well, yeah, there was like
a couple fights broke out. That was just
a couple. There was like a whole section.
Yeah, it was the Canadian Jamaican game. The first game was a lot of fun. Everyone was just like happy that we were there because we were neither side, and there's like it was just a lot of fun. But that second game was scary.
Well, in any this game definitely plays different from NHL 94. I played the Genesis version of this one as well. I mean, this one has an isometric perspective, so it kind of plays with perception. And for another, I found the controls more sluggish, at least as far as player movement is concerned. Although, I played as Holland against Argentina, much like the previous World Cup. and lost, also like the previous World Cup. Yeah, this one I found was just okay. Nothing spectacular. Of course, I didn't know about the cheat codes, so
me either.
Maybe that would make it a lot more fun.
Next time I'm going to look up cheat codes for these games.
Oh my god, you really gotta take advantage of the fucking crazy ball mode. It's quite awesome. It creates a drinking game experience like you'll never experience. You can't imagine. Imagine you're down 5-4. You are the powerhouse of the Soviet Union against Luxembourg, and you got a breakaway, but then you hit an invisible wall. Oh, the worst experience you can imagine. I'm not saying from personal experience by any means. I would never do that. That would just be weird. Why would I have that experience? Okay. So, cheat codes, I pass. The base game, probably not.
Definitely not passing on this one.
Probably give it a soft fail.
It's a hard fail for me.
Womp womp. Colin, the last game of the cast. Go.
Oh, yeah. I chose Mario Tennis for the N64. And there's also a Game Boy Color version, but who cares about that?
I agree.
It was developed by Camelot Software Planning and published by Nintendo. Released on the N64 in Japan on July 21st, 2000, in North America on August 28th, 2000, and in the PAL regions on November 3rd, 2000. And of all these games, this is the one I played the most of, so don't get too huffy with me. The reason I picked this one is because I have some good memories of it. Strap yourselves in, folks. It's time for another Colin Life Story!
Does it involve racing dildos?
Unfortunately, no.
Then I don't want to hear
it. Well, anyway, back in grade 8, I was on a band tour for music class, which was mandatory for everyone in grades 5 to 8 in my school. And we were going through the Ottawa area, and we were assigned billets, which is basically people volunteering to give students places to stay overnight for however many nights. Just so happens I was in the same billet as some good friends of mine, and it also just so happened that our billet had an N64. Music to my ears at the time, because so restricted on console ownership. And he had Mario Tennis, so we spent a lot of our nights in the basement playing that one against each other. It's just one of those great times you can only really experience in childhood. Just those gaming nights. And although, a bit of a side story, I had a really close call on that same trip. I mean, the first night we stayed there, I realized my music folder wasn't in my bag, which led me to thinking I might have forgotten it at one of the places we had performed along the way to Ottawa. Normally, this wouldn't be so bad. I could just look off of someone else's music for the regular band performances. I played alto saxophone, by the by. However, I was also the piano player, the pianist, if you will. Insert dick joke here. For the jazz
Already
band.
did, for about 10 minutes in the start of the cast.
Yeah, I was playing the piano for the jazz band, which meant I had the only copies of the sheet music I needed to perform. And if those were lost, we were fucked. So naturally, I got no sleep that night because I was so worried about where my folder could be. And the next morning, we're filing onto the tour bus, and I'm literally praying to God the whole time that my folder would be on there. Keep in mind, Christian school upbringing in school. And I get to my assigned seat, look at the back seat netting in front of my seat, and it's not there. I have a heart attack for a moment until I look in the overhead compartment, and lo and behold, there it is. I almost literally cried with relief. So yeah, story over.
Well, besides Mario Tennis Aces that I played for the Modern Gamecast,
Yes.
my only previous experience with Mario Tennis was actually the GameCube Mario Tennis.
Oh.
In which it was many drunk nights in college. It was always Mario Kart Double Dash, Melee, and Mario Tennis. So the various drinking games that ensued. So playing the N64 Mario Tennis, you can imagine that tennis not being, despite my history of success in the sport, from junior high doubles 2 seed to 15th out of 16th place in singles and doubles on the freshman high school team. Just saying. Made the team without showing up to tryouts. Just saying. Anyways. Joey, you remember that?
Dust off the shoulder.
Yeah. I showed up like one day. I was like, oh no, I got cut. JD, you made the team. Fuck! Now I gotta wake up at like 5 a.m. every day. Shit.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways. No one had this N64 game growing up that in my circle of 1996 to 2000 era of the N64. But I found this game, playing it holds up very well.
Oh, yeah.
Despite being on the N64, as Kevin would put it, the system does not hold up well for a lot of games. With its visuals, I thought Mario Tennis visually is one of the games that holds up better than most, much like Mischief Makers.
Oh, yeah.
This game was fast, simple, and arcadey, which makes a sports game immediately more fun in my mind. Mm-hmm. Everything was very smooth, no frame drops or anything like that. Everything responded well. I like the different courts with different modes, let's say. The Bowser stage was easily my favorite, as the court itself sways side to side, and you have items, very much like Mario Kart, which is really cool, where you can get like bananas and the like and chuck them across the court. That is tons of fun. I wish a lot more was like that. That's kind of what the game evolved into, was getting a lot of gimmicks. So that's where it all started, is that one. There's the grass court with piranha plants that just spit balls like a pinball multiplay. Mm-hmm. I was very surprised that there's 16 different characters in this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all unique and different from each other. That was awesome. Yeah,
fun fact, this is the first ever appearance of Waluigi.
It's not a fun fact, it's just a fact.
And it's also the first reappearance.
You thought it was fun? You thought it was fun, Joey? I feel like I don't even know you anymore. Waluigi is fun? No one thinks that. No way. Nobody wants him in Smash, either. It's fake news.
Yeah. This was also the first reappearances of Princess Daisy from Super Mario Land and Birdo from Mario Bros. 2 since their respective games.
I suppose those are fun facts. So yeah, I quite enjoyed this game. I wish there was a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Uniqueness to the gameplay itself. Like you had your regular you had your forehand, backhand, and then your power serve attacks, power slam attacks. Mm-hmm. But there wasn't much more to it than that. So I don't know if that was a limitation of the N64 at the time, or they had to pump out the sports game much quicker because of the success of Mario Golf, or the fact that the developer was an RPG franchise before switching to make all the Mario tennis games from then on. Maybe that's why the games aren't totally unique from each other after this. They all just kind of get an extra element to it. I don't know. Needless to say, despite my nitpicky comments, I did really enjoy this game. It was very addicting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and it had good music, too. I liked the Game Point music. That theme pops into my head from time to time, even to this day.
So I don't like playing against Mario in this game. He's supposed to be a fat Italian plumber, and he moves way too fast along this court. He shouldn't be the frickin' Andre Agassi of this game. I really didn't like playing Mario.
I didn't like playing against Luigi. He took it too serious. He was all over the court. He was a tryhard. He was not fun to play against.
Oh man, Joey, if I don't know if you ever got to play doubles against Mario and Luigi. They're a deadly duo, let me tell you.
Nah, I only played singles. I didn't play any doubles.
Oh, see, I've my tennis experience aficionado was always doubles, so I had to go doubles. Crash the net. That's my style. Luigi.
That's what Luigi does all the time.
He's a brick wall. I hate that guy. Can't get it past him. Didn't find playing as Donkey Kong and Bowser to be particularly fun because they're bigger and the ball hits them a lot. That's my take on those two guys.
I played as Yoshi because he's my favorite character, and I had actually a lot of fun playing this. Did some of the tournaments, moved up. It was a lot of fun. It was simple. It was interesting and very enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
I liked playing as Donkey Kong.
So, did you have an issue with the ball just constantly hitting you from the computer? Like, whether
Not
it was
really.
whether it was it hit your arm all the time and it didn't come in contact with the racket? I got that a lot.
No, I didn't have that problem.
No, but I scored a lot that way.
Well, that's kind of the problem, right? My problem, anyways.
Problem?
So I ended up not being him. I was Daisy. Liked Daisy. She's kind of cool. She's cute. She got something going on. She got a charisma about her that kids might find appealing. Just throwing that out there. I'm not saying there's a certain rule or anything out there for Daisy, but all right. So I passed the game.
Yeah.
Yep, I passed.
I pass it too.
Definitely
Easy pass.
Okay. The 4 games were NHL 94, MLB Slugfest 2003, FIFA International Soccer, and Mario Tennis. Boys, favorite, least favorite. Colin, you go first.
Okay. Favorite, bit of a toss-up between Mario Tennis and MLB Slugfest, but since I didn't actually play MLB Slugfest, I'm going to err on the side of caution and say Mario Tennis is my favorite.
That is absolutely fair, but I think you just let all your fellow Canadians down with that pick. Just put it out there. And your least favorite?
Least, I'm probably going to say FIFA.
Well, you didn't play the 3DO version, so I guess I understand.
Oh boy.
I'll go next, and then we'll save the best for last. The Joseph. My favorite was easily NHL 94. It was just the most addicting, the most fun. It holds up the best out of them all. I think it's timeless. It stands that test of time. It had all the elements that I like in a sports game. And my least favorite would have to be the non-3DO versions, no cheat codes of FIFA International Soccer. Gotta be very specific about it.
Of course.
My favorite was NHL 94, with Slugfest being a close second. And FIFA International was the worst game. Probably the worst game I played in a while.
Oh.
Ooh. Shots fired.
Should play that 3DO version with me, Joey. You might change your mind.
I think I might hate it even more.
All right, guys. Our next theme pick was chosen. It is Kevin's. It is 2D. It's the transition of 2D to 3D. So they're franchises that started out as 2D games, and they moved on to 3D from there. And I made a deal with Kevin, because he's been playing a game, and since I made such a egregious error to have Prince of Persia Warrior Within when it wasn't 15 years old, I said, Kevin, if you really want to cover this game that you've been playing, then I will allow you to cover it a year before it's eligible. So, one time making it up to Kevin.
Is it really a year? It's like a month away from being eligible.
Well, the game he wants to do is a year away from being eligible.
A year and a month, or just a month?
Just a year.
Because, 2020 is just right around the corner.
Yeah, well. So, 2D games transition to 3D.
Are we doing the 2D version, or are we doing when they became the 3D?
Became the 3D.
Okay.
Alrighty.
So like Worms 3D would be an example, and that's one of the games we'll be covering. The first Worms game that went to 3D. So I guess another one would be Mario 64 would be another one
Grand Theft Auto
to
3.
do.
Yeah, we already did
that. Yep.
We already did Zelda Ocarina of Time.
So, just some examples to be thrown out there. Boys, it's been fun. This was episode 56 of the Red Leaf Retrocast, Sports Games. We'll see you next time.
Adios.
Bye now.